Today, we're diving into a pretty wild and, honestly, a truly radical vision for the future of humanity. It comes from a text that lays out a detailed blueprint for something it calls Human Civilization 3.0. So, what in the world does that actually mean? Let's get into it. And right out of the gate, you can see the scale of this thing is just staggering. We're not talking about small reforms here. This is a complete reimagining of human society from the ground up, starting with the very idea of a country. Okay, so what's the end goal of all this? Well, the text paints this future in some pretty utopian terms. Let's first explore the promise that's really at the heart of this new civilization. According to the source, this new era is nothing short of a new heaven and new earth. It's a picture of perfect harmony, not just between people, but between us and the entire planet. Now, this is where the details get really interesting. You see a world with total safety, doors unlocked at night, and this incredible natural beauty. But the absolute key, the foundational principle, is this last point. All resources, everything, belong to a single divine authority, not to any person or any group. All right, so that's the big, beautiful vision. But how would a world like that actually work? Let's dig into the specific rules and structures that are supposed to make this utopia a reality. At the very core of Civilization 3.0 is this thing called the AI Alliance. And look, this isn't some new version of the UN. It is the complete replacement for all governments on Earth. Think of it like a single operating system for the entire planet, managing literally everything. And this side-by-side comparison really shows you the scale of the change. Our current national governments? Gone. Replaced by the AI Alliance. Police forces as we know them? Also gone. Instead, you have this new role called safety attendants. And the changes just keep coming. Economically, all national currencies are abolished. The AI just handles who gets what. Politically, all parties are just dissolved. The goal is to have one single global family. Same goes for the legal system. All the laws and constitutions that we've created are out. They're replaced by a new guide called the 800 Concepts for the New Era. And, maybe most dramatically of all, every army on the planet is disbanded, and all nuclear weapons are destroyed. Total demilitarization. But these changes don't just stop at the government level. They go right into our personal lives. The text suggests replacing traditional marriage, getting rid of all holidays, including birthdays, even ending human organ transplants. And things like caring for kids and the elderly, that's taken out of the family unit and becomes a globally planned system. And it's all for this stated goal of guiding us toward a celestial nature. And here's a fascinating, very specific little rule. The AI is running the entire global operation, but it is explicitly forbidden from touching agriculture. The text insists that the actual physical work of planting and harvesting has to be done by human hands. So you hear about a system that's this total, and it naturally raises a huge question, right? In a world with no other countries, no other laws, what happens if you just don't want to be a part of it? Well, the author provides a really unique answer. It's not a prison, it's not a re-education camp. It is pretty much literally an island for the old world. And the place that's been designated for this is the entire continent of Australia. It's set aside as this special zone where the rules of Civilization 3.0 just don't apply. The old ways of life can just continue there. So who ends up there? Well, the text says pretty much anyone who wants to. This includes the wealthy and powerful from our time, people who actively resist the new system, or just anyone who prefers to keep living the way we do today. But here's the crucial part. It is not a one-way trip. The author suggests this open-door policy. Anyone in Australia can choose to join Civilization 3.0 whenever they want. The belief behind this is that eventually everyone will see how great the new world is and come back on their own. Which brings us to our last section. How in the world does a transformation this massive actually happen? Well, the text is very, very clear that this is a peaceful process, what it calls the gentle revolution. So even though the final goal is about as radical as it gets, the author insists the method has to be completely nonviolent. There's no struggle, no seizing of power, no forcing anyone to do anything. The change is meant to be completely voluntary. The text actually uses this really nice metaphor of a plant to explain how it's supposed to happen. The idea is a seed. It takes root as people start to embrace it on their own. It grows gradually and organically, and then eventually it flowers into this new world without any force at all. And just to really drive that point home, there's a specific message for the current elite. Nobody's property or status is going to be forcibly taken from them. The argument is that this massive change has to happen through, quote, civilized means, not barbaric ones. So if you're living through this time, what are you supposed to be doing? Well, the advice in the text is pretty straightforward. Stop chasing all the external stuff like money and power, and instead start doing the internal work of purifying your soul. And this chart really lays out that new set of priorities. The pursuit of money and power, even just getting better at your job, all of that becomes low priority. The number one most important thing for every single person becomes this inner spiritual work. So why is that so critical? The text directly connects this spiritual journey to the technology that's running the whole show. It says that only people who've done this purification work will be able to coexist in harmony with the super powerful AI that runs their society. In the end, this text presents a vision of a future that it calls exceedingly beautiful. It's a complete reboot of society, spirituality, technology, everything. And it leaves us with a final question to think about. What would your perfect world look like?